station working for you. This is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
Now at 7, we are keeping an eye on how the community is reacting to the announcement that an IMPD officer will not face charges in the shooting death of Dre'Jon Reed. Thanks for joining us at 7. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino. Let's get right to WRTV's Cameron Riddle, who was there for the special prosecutor's announcement about the Reed case. Cameron, State Police also laid out all of the evidence used in their investigation. Now, what can you tell us?
So good evening. So we can just tell you just straight off the top, there was not enough evidence to indict or file charges against IMPD officer DeJour Mercer after he fired his weapon that ultimately took the life of 21-year-old Dre'Jon Reed on the night of May 6th. As you said, the prosecutor, the special prosecutor, Rosemary Curry, made that announcement at 5 o'clock today. And in the 6 o'clock hour, detectives from the Indiana State Police went through evidence bit by bit, piece by piece, video frame by frame, audio frame by frame, to show us how it was that the information was presented as if we, the media, were the grand jury. With all of that said, this has gone on for 188 days. The special prosecutor has been involved with this since June. The grand jury took over in August, but today it has been announced that there will be no charges, what they call a no bill in this case. For the special prosecutor, Rosemary Curry of Madison County, this has been extremely difficult for her. Before she could even say a few words, she was already crying and fighting her tears at the podium. She says this is especially hard for her as, let's be obvious here, she is a black prosecutor with black children in this year of 2020.
Both sides. I'm a mother of 2 black boys. And I know, thank you. I don't know how Mr. Reed's mother feels, but I'm a mother of 2 black boys. I also am very empathetic toward Officer Mercer. I know that that had to be a difficult position to be in. So all the way around, like I said, no one wins.
And as you heard, Prosecutor Curry mention Dre'Jon Reed's mother, Miss Demetri Wynn. I've been in contact tonight with the attorneys, Fatima Johnson's team, who has been representing the estate of Dre'Jon Reed tonight. Of course, as you could imagine, they are not happy with tonight's decision. They're still processing this like many of us are, but as I've had conversations with them leading up to this, they're not totally shocked. However, that does not change the pain that they are feeling tonight. A formal statement from Fatima Johnson's office and Dre'Jon Reed's mother, Miss Demetri Wynn, may come at some point tonight, if not tomorrow. But the news tonight is that no charges are being filed against Officer DeJour Mercer, as the grand jury could not find sufficient evidence to bring charges. We're live tonight. I'm Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
As Rosemary Curry said, no one wins. Thank you, Cameron. WRTV's Cornelius Hawker is live in downtown Indianapolis, where you might have noticed extra police presence as that grand jury decision was announced. Cornelius, tell us what you're seeing and what you're hearing out there tonight.
So just so everyone knows, I am currently at Meridian and New York, and right behind me, some people have gathered. They've been here for about the last hour or so. NG10 Black Lives Matter told folks to come to this intersection, Meridian and New York, to express their rage and pain. Now, flanked all around, there are officers who are on bikes. There's actually about 7 or 8 of them at Meridian and Vermont. We're hearing drones flying overhead. Police are going up and down Meridian and Pennsylvania. But again, there's really nothing going on except people gathering here, holding up signs, unhappy with how this grand jury decision came out. Of course, this is what we want to see. We want to see people peacefully assembling, expressing their freedom of speech. And hopefully this is how it stays. You know, they can march around, they can hold up their signs, but just hoping for the best possible outcome. Anyway, Jake, if you can turn back around here, we're going to be out here all night monitoring the situation, and we'll let you know if anything else develops. Back to you guys in the studio.
Cornelius telling us that things are peaceful at this point. Cornelius, thank you. You can find the latest information on the grand jury decision and how the community reaction is right now at WRTV.com, and we'll have another update tonight on the news at 11. Kevin?
Well, big temperature changes just hours away. 75 was the old record for today. We've rewritten the record books for the third straight day. 77, the record high this afternoon. Rain and some isolated thunderstorms expected, really between 9 and about 1 a.m. Entering western Indiana at 9 p.m., leaving the state just after midnight. There's a low risk for severe storms, and then you'll need your coat tomorrow for sure. Temperature 70 in Indy, 75 in Muncie. Other temperatures, Bloomington 66, where you've had some showers nearby. There's the spike in the chance for rain in Indianapolis around 11 o'clock tonight. It will be earlier than that in the western portion of the state. As far as the line in Illinois, we already have rain. Seymour to Columbus to Rushville, and then between Newcastle and Richmond. This is the line we'll wait on. More on that and the temperature trend ahead coming up.
Today, the Indiana State Department of Health reported another 4,800 people have tested positive for COVID-19. 63 more Hoosiers have died with COVID-19, a statistic that continues to rise. Tonight, nearly 60,000 Americans are hospitalized with the virus, up to 70% from just a month ago, according to the COVID Tracking Project. With this latest flood of infections, health officials suggest spending the holidays only with those living in your household or by gathering outdoors.
Doctors and healthcare workers on the front lines of fighting COVID-19 are not invincible. They too are struggling during this time to avoid burnout and exhaustion while continuing on as COVID-19 heroes. WRTV's Troy Washington speaks with a doctor who explains that struggle.
Things are very different for everyone. There is a lot of exhaustion. It has been really, really challenging.
For 9 months now, Dr. Lindy Hayes has been locked into treating and saving patients diagnosed with the coronavirus.
With full body gear and full body suit and gloves and multiple jackets on and all of that. And it can get exhausting. You know, you can sweat in there, and you can get dehydrated because of that. And then when you're in patient care areas for 12 and 14 hours at a time, it can be difficult to get out, get a break, go get something to eat, get something to drink.
She says it's become about remembering to do the little things to keep going, like eating, staying hydrated, and creating more time for self-care.
Sometimes your vacation is just making sure that you get enough rest.
Dr. Hayes used to look forward to getting away to enjoy a trip, but even though she isn't traveling for leisure right now, she hasn't forgotten the importance of taking breaks.
Sometimes it is overwhelming, so sometimes we have to turn it off.
In order to stay fresh and at her best.
As fatigue increases, what happens is that you increase the likelihood of medical errors.
She says, make no mistake, fighting COVID-19 for long hours and days has made her more intentional about getting rest and disconnecting on downtime.
It is really requiring a lot of specific and targeted, intentional acts in order to be able to combat the fatigue and the level of depression and sadness that we experience when we see so much sickness and so much death on a regular basis.
She says she took an oath to help others, and it matters especially during times like these. Working for you, Troy Washington, WRTV.
Well, Dr. Lindy Hayes says that most frontline workers have the added stress of worrying about when they are at home and being around their families after being on the front lines.
While restaurants across Indiana have been allowed to serve customers in person for months, many are still struggling to stay afloat, and not all believe that restrictions are to blame. WRTV's Cornelius Hawker explains why some business owners feel like they're being forced to choose between lives and livelihoods.
The pandemic continues its impact on jobs and central Indiana's food scene. From Kingdo Indy being closed for several days while employees got tested for COVID-19 to Shoe Fly Public House closing their doors for good, local restaurants are concerned this is just the beginning.
The rest of us are just out here having to choose, like, do I want to either potentially expose myself to a pandemic, or do I want to close my restaurant?
Ian Phillips owns 3 Carrots Fountain Square. They recently shut down temporarily after an employee was exposed to someone who tested positive for COVID-19. They're good to go now because all their tests came back negative. But Ian tells me he wishes finding that out was easier.
The reason why we had to close is because there isn't rapid testing available. If we would have been able to get tested and known in an hour or in a day that we had been negative, then we could have just continued to be open.
Ian believes our government dropped the ball when the mandatory closures were in place.
During that period when we were closed, that was when the state was supposed to have testing done, was supposed to get contract tracing in place.
While the local and federal government has provided financial assistance to keep businesses open, that money is running out. Shoefly is a prime example. In this lengthy Facebook post, they shared the news of their closure, mentioning how they did get a PPP loan. They were able to pay a majority of their loans back once they reopened in May, but with no further relief in sight, too cold to eat outside and not safe to eat inside, they decided closing was their best option. Ian says there should be help for businesses that have to or choose to close in the interest of public health.
Pay small businesses and enough that we can know that if we have to close for a couple weeks because somebody does get COVID, then we're not going to be out of business.
With COVID-19 cases continuing to rise, Ian isn't sure what the breaking point is going to be, but he's certain it's going to be a disaster.
We are faced with both an economic catastrophe and a human catastrophe, and we're choosing to do both.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
Money from Indianapolis's last batch of federal relief funding went toward a grant program for restaurants, bars, and entertainment venues. The application window closed on Friday. Money from the program could only go towards rent and mortgage payments.
Still ahead on the news at 7, agritourism businesses in Indiana have been hit hard by COVID-19. How one local business is shifting its strategy to survive and rebound from the pandemic.
We are 8 months into pandemic, and our Rebound Indiana initiative is looking at how consumer habits have shifted, and it's forcing our local small businesses to pivot to meet those needs. Today with Indiana Grown, our Lauren Casey is looking at how small agritourism destinations are adapting in order to survive.
Came up with this idea of a portable wine flight.
Sarah Shade takes us through a pandemic-friendly tasting at Mallow Run Winery in Bargersville.
It's the Sangiovese with a little bit of Cabernet Sauvignon.
The family-owned winery off Whiteland Road prides itself on giving guests an experience.
And then this last one is Traminette, which is the Indiana signature grape.
And they always provide complimentary tastings.
The customer can check off which pour. We prepare the flight for them. And then the only rule is that it has to be enjoyed while seated at a table, but they can stay in here or go out on our deck.
It's fall at this Johnson County gym, but springtime looked much different.
So we fell under the category of a bar or nightclub because we don't have an established restaurant here.
Despite the acres of space, Mallow Run couldn't operate as it has for 15 years.
And just like any other small business, it was really scary.
So the family and workers put their heads together.
Okay, if this is the reality right now, how are we going to get through?
And decided to offer a drive-through case sale. And so on that first weekend of the shutdown, this driveway was packed with cars wrapping all the way around down to Whiteland Road with people supporting this local business.
It blew us away. It was kind of the hope that we needed to get through what would end up being the next several months of being closed.
The ability to get creative, overcome barriers, and get products to consumers. That's the message Indiana Grown worked to get to its members during this global pandemic.
So Indiana Grown is a program of the Indiana State Department of Agriculture, and our whole goal is to market and promote and elevate all forms of local ag. So that is hog farmers, traditional row crops, value-added products like barbecue sauce, and even wine. Because wine is agriculture as well.
Indiana Grown has helped members track these new consumer habits like online sales and social media advertising. And businesses like Mallow Run used what they had, a loyal customer base to push through the mandated shutdown.
A lot of our members have new business that they never would have had before, and hopefully we'll retain that business in the future.
A late frost delivered that 1-2 punch in this pandemic to growers like Mallow Run. But just as Mother Nature heals herself, the winery hopes to rebound for future events.
As long as conditions are okay, the vineyard will come alive again in seasons to come. We just have to be patient. We're on nature's time, not our time.
And that was Lauren Casey reporting. For more info on how Mallow Run is adapting to the pandemic, plus a look at Indiana Grown's local wine trail through the state, just go to WRTV.com/rebound.
Well, temperatures very mild now. Just step outside, but you see the trend. They'll tumble through the overnight. We'll talk about the coldest temperatures ahead coming up.
We're going to take you back live downtown Indianapolis here. This is between the federal courthouse and the Indiana War Memorial at New York and Meridian Streets. You can see a growing group of people who have gathered to protest the special grand jury decision regarding the Dre John Reed fatal shooting involving an IMPD officer. Again, that decision just said that there was no sufficient evidence to bring up charges against the officer involved in that shooting. Since that announcement has come down, there has been a growing group of peaceful protesters who are denouncing, who are chanting "No justice, no peace." So far, everything has been peaceful as the protesters there share their grievances about demanding justice. We'll keep an eye on everything going on there and bring you the latest as it comes available to us. So far, this again downtown at New York and Meridian Streets. Kevin.
7:20 on what has been another record-setting November day. It's been an extraordinary 3-day stretch. All of that ends here in the next little bit as the showers and some thunderstorms arrive and push the warm air out of the state. 75 in Muncie, 74 in Lafayette. Temperature down to 70 in Indy. Other temperatures way above the average of about 56 for this time of year. Here are the metro area temperatures. There are some showers out ahead of the main line that I'm going to show you, and that is forming here in the transition zone between winter, which is showing up on the map, and spring-like temperatures that we have now, with temperatures running anywhere from 25 degrees above average across central Indiana. Temperatures cold enough for snow. They'll see several inches. They've got winter storm warnings in effect in Minnesota. For us, this cold front will generate the showers and an isolated thunderstorm. The greatest risk for any severe weather will be here, northern Illinois, clipping northwest Indiana into lower Michigan. There may be some isolated strong wind gusts here, but they're not anticipating, they being the Storm Prediction Center, issuing a watch into central Indiana. The thinking is this line will continue to diminish in intensity as it moves to the east, but it's windy independent of any of those areas of showers. A few showers from Kokomo to just northwest then of Lebanon in western Hendricks County, and then a little more substantial rain just going through Seymour, just south of Columbus toward Greensburg, and then northwest of Connorsville. That'll head between Newcastle and Richmond. As far as our severe threat, it's low, what we call a marginal risk, a little higher to the west. The timing, 9 to 11. I'd say a little before 9. This will arrive in western Indiana by 11 through the metro area, then pushing off to the east. But when the rain is leaving, the colder air is arriving. You'll wake up to the 40s. Don't expect it to warm up much. You'll need a heavy coat. Northwest wind will feel cold in the 30s. As you can see, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning. Friday, as a matter of fact, will struggle to hit 50 for the high. Next chance for showers is greatest Saturday night into early Sunday. We'll be back with more news right after this.
If the pressure of cooking Thanksgiving dinner has you on edge, Whole Foods and Progressive are teaming up to put your mind at ease. Whole Foods is teaming up with Progressive to offer insurance for your Thanksgiving meal in case the cooking goes haywire. The companies are offering insurance for your Thanksgiving meal in the form of a $35 gift card for customers who, quote, commit a turkey cooking fail. Here's how it works. You buy a Whole Foods branded turkey from the store between November 11th and the 22nd. If it winds up overcooked, undercooked, burnt, or dry, you can submit a claim with a receipt, brief explanation, and a picture to a special website. The promotion is limited to 1,000 customers.
I think this is great because I am all on board. You know how much I love to cook, but when it comes to Thanksgiving, I just
your turkey's dry.
I just want someone else to do it because this would be me.
Just hand her over the $35 gift card.
Well, thanks for joining us.
We'll see you back here tonight at 11.